If I asked you to name the biggest meme in Blue Lock, chances are you'd mention Shidou's second goal in the U20 match. And I get it. Even for a series chock full with over-the-top personalities, Shidou's claim that scoring goals is like sexual intercourse feels completely unhinged. It's like Blue Lock's signature audacity on steroids. And yet, I think that we're massively underplaying both the significance of this scene and Shidou's character more broadly by treating them as nothing more than a meme. So, what I want to do today is re-examine chapter 130 of Blue Lock and see if we can get a bit more out of it than, oh haha, weird psychopath guy compares scoring goals to having sex. Hello, my name is Sean, and there's little I enjoy more than discussing a downright stupid topic with the utmost seriousness. Chapter 130 is one of the most important moments in the U20 match. For one, this is where the Japanese under-20 team finally regains the lead. But it's equally important because this chapter articulates the worldview and motivations of Ryusei Shidou, Blue Lock's second best striker. So let me start with a quick recap of Shidou's beliefs, and you can get all your giggles out of your system in the meantime. Shidou claims that for him, football is more than just a sport. It's nothing less than an act of pure existence. In his view, human beings are hardwired to leave behind a trace of their existence, of their genetic material. This desire to make something out of oneself can manifest in a myriad of ways, from interpersonal relationships to creative endeavors, ambition, and of course, procreation itself. But in Shidou's case, his favored act of creation is playing football. And so, he experiences scoring goals as a form of reproduction. It's akin to shooting his seed into a figurative womb. Basically, Shidou experiences sexual pleasure from his so-called explosions. Okay, we good? Then, let's do some analysis. The U20 match is on its most fundamental level about determining the future of Japanese football. With his revolutionary Blue Lock program, Jinpachi Ego has challenged the Japanese football establishment and their conventional approach to the sport. So when the Blue Lock 11 is pitted against the Japanese U20 team, the match is about more than just determining which is the better team. It's also an examination of two different philosophies of play and two different views on how to reshape the Japanese football scene. Now, I'm hoping to discuss this in greater detail in a dedicated U20 analysis video one day. But to put it in the simplest terms, the two teams are in fundamental opposition in their approach to the future of Japanese football. The Blue Lock 11 is all about destroying the established order, whereas the U20 team aims to improve Japanese football from within. This is where Ryusei Shidou and Rin Itoshi, Blue Lock's two best strikers, come in. During the third selection, the manga establishes that Blue Lock's two stars are completely incompatible. The two collide with each other because they pursue the same goal through fundamentally different methods. There is simply no chemistry between the two of them whatsoever, and for this reason, Ego declares that Rin and Shidou must never play on the same team. But the issue for Shidou is not just Rin. As it turns out, there is no player in all of Blue Lock who operates on the same wavelength as Shidou. And in a way, that makes perfect sense. After all, the entire Blue Lock program is couched on a philosophy of destruction. The kind of destruction that is laid bare in its most hideous form by Rin in the climax of the U20 match. All this time, Jinpachi Ego has been orchestrating the downfall of the established order. And so, the one to rise to the top in this environment is himself transfigured into the embodiment of indiscriminate destruction. But Shidou is an entirely different story. The reason why there can't be any form of chemistry between Shidou and the other Blue Lock players is because Shidou's football is about creation, not destruction. All the blatant sexual undertones in Shidou's dialogue are just a way to bring out this idea in the most absurdly literal sense. On a more fundamental level, his entire worldview is categorically incompatible with the aims of the Blue Lock program. Shidou's core belief is that every human being is fueled by a desire to create and to leave something behind. He can make sense of an incredibly wide array of creative desires, from building a career to forging interpersonal relationships. But playing for the sake of tearing someone else down, like Rin is trying to do? Something like that would never motivate Shidou. So that's how Shidou is recruited into the team that represents the established order. And with that, he's in the position to reinvigorate the Japanese football scene from within. But what's even more interesting about this arrangement is that the rivalry between Blue Lock star players mirrors that of the competing teams as a whole. It's just like how Rin and Shidou collided in the third selection. In the U20 match, both teams are playing for the same purpose, namely to reshape the future of Japanese football. But they pursue this goal through radically different means. What we witness here is a clash between a team of creation and a team of destruction, both spearheaded by the ultimate representative of their respective philosophy. So now, let's go to the second half of the U20 match. The score is 2-1 for the Blue Lock 11. And finally, the ace striker, whose talents were stifled in Blue Lock, gets to take the field, paired up with the best midfielder Japan has to offer. Right here, Sai challenges Shidou in a way that no one in Blue Lock had ever done. Shidou has to surpass the scope of his imagination and visualize a more impressive goal than he'd ever scored before. Sai's plays really get Shidou's creative juices pumping in overdrive. And yes, that was a very deliberate double entendre. So with all this, it's finally time to return to the scene in question, the one where Shidou expresses his football philosophy. That for him, scoring goals is a creative, or rather a procreative, endeavor. Now, it's really significant where this moment is placed within the match's overall structure. This entire monologue builds up to Shidou's second goal, with which the U20 team finally regains the lead they'd lost in the first half. To put it differently, Shidou's goal finally presents a real alternative to Blue Lock's attempt to topple the established order. On that front, there's a tantalizing parallel between the moment where the Blue Lock 11 scores its first goal of the match and the scene where the U20 team regains the lead. In the first half, Nagi frames his spectacular goal as his self-introduction to the Japanese football scene. This is directly followed by Comrade Oliver Aiku's realization that Blue Lock has brought an insanely destructive type of football to the table. In other words, Nagi's goal is not just the moment where he introduces his talents on the national stage, but it also proves the effectiveness of Blue Lock's philosophy of destruction as a whole. So then, in the second half, Shidou provides a counterpart to Nagi's goal. Shidou too uses an absolutely sensational goal to announce his presence to the entire world. This is the moment where he makes his deepest desires a reality. Right here, he has definitively put his genes on full display and left behind a lasting trace of his existence. In contrast to Nagi's goal, Shidou pulls ahead through the sheer force of creation. This is the peak of what the U20 team has to offer. It's hard to overstate the impact of Shidou's crowning moment. After he scores 2 breathtaking goals in a row, the Blue Lock 11 sinks into despair. Right here, Shidou has surpassed Rin. Creation has surpassed destruction. And with that, it seems set in stone that the new and improved U20 team will be the one to reshape Japanese football as we know it. And all this is cemented by the name Shidou gives to his ultimate technique, the Big Bang Drive. The claim here is that Shidou has given birth to a new future for Japanese football through an act of explosive creation, just as how the entire universe was formed by one massive explosion. And, well, laying on the innuendo even thicker never hurts either. And more than that, Jinpachi Ego acknowledges that Shidou has changed the course of Japanese football forever. And he even outlines what will happen now that Shidou's philosophy has come out victorious. In essence, Japanese football will be reborn from the inside. Shidou will become its new face, and in time, the other Blue Lock players will be absorbed into the existing system as well. With Shidou's talents and the reputation of the Blue Lock program, the U20 team will be reformed from within. So even if the Blue Lock program is shut down and Jinpachi Ego is banished from the Japanese football scene, their legacy would spark a lasting change in the industry. What's striking about Ego's prediction is that this change will be brought about with minimal destruction. After all, this is a future where none of the Blue Lock players will disappear. But then, we get an interesting turn. None of the Blue Lock players embrace the future that Shidou will bring about. After all, they're a team that was raised on destruction. Their experiences have taught them that losing means nothing less than death. As they've learned through all their trials and tribulations, you can't create something without any casualties. That's the entire foundation of the Blue Lock program, after all. So in this moment, the story implies that creation alone cannot bring Japanese football to the very top. But that's a story for another day. In any case, I'd love to hear your thoughts on all of this in the comments. And if you liked what you saw, do consider subscribing for more in-depth Blue Lock analysis every other week. And if you're interested on my thoughts on other series, keep an eye out for my second channel as well.